Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Andrea Giraldo. Welcome to Meetings of the Minds, brought to you by the New York City Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in partnership with BronxNet. This show was created in direct response to the COVID-19 pandemic as a way to highlight the work of our members and partners, as well as to understand the resources they have to help our community in those difficult times. So leading things off, our first guest is the owner and founder of tech company, Mr. Jose Perez. Thank you for joining us. So Jose, after working in telecommunications for the last 20 years for companies like Spectrum and Comcast, he started his own technology consulting company, WiFi Spotlight. WiFi Spotlight is an authorized partner, and they sell business internet for Spectrum, Verizon, Optimum, Comcast, and many more companies. The other services he provides are voice over IP solution, security cameras, low voltage wiring, AV solutions, merchant services, and managed technology. So we are really happy to have with us and welcome Jose Perez.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. Hola, Jose. And thank you for joining us today. So, Jose, we'll dive right into this.
Yeah, let's do it.
I know many of our viewers would like to learn more on your entrepreneurial journey. So let's start off.
So, all right. So I work for, as you alluded to, I work for the telecommunications companies for 20 years and got my experience working with them in the corporate world from working in technical positions and then, in leadership positions where I was managing sales teams in the business capacity. And, doing it for so long, and I've always had a vision to kind of, want to do it on my own, establish some really great relationships within the New York City businesses and communities and vendors. And 2023 came, and in conversations with my wife and my family and my kids getting older, and I finally decided to take the risk and say, hey, pretty much I left the corporate world and just started my own company, and we've been at it for about 7 or 8 months now and growing steadily.
Yeah, but what was that light bulb moment that gave you that vision that really went off and you said, okay, when you went to your wife for those conversations?
Yeah, so so when I was in the corporate world and I was selling Spectrum services, I always had businesses that wanted more. When you get a Spectrum or you get Verizon for your business and the installer goes to your business and he wants to install services, they pretty much just give you the connection, and then it's up to the business to integrate the connection to their equipment. So if they've got camera systems or if they've got Wi-Fi needs in a big space, or if they need, merchant services. So I would have to rely on some of my partners to provide a lot of those services. So, I started to think about it, and I had more and more businesses needing more than what Spectrum or Verizon could offer.
Deliver at the time.
Yes, and I couldn't deliver. I had to refer all those businesses to other vendors. And finally, I was brave enough to just say, hey, well, let me just be that one-stop shop and still provide these businesses with the Spectrum or the Optimum or Verizon, because everybody needs internet, right?
Yeah.
But if they need other things, then, I could also now support them with all the, from, something as simple as getting them a 212 number, or if they need managed Wi-Fi or security cameras, pretty much anything that they need. I'm like a one-stop shop technology
and I'm sure
consultant.
Most of them either don't know how or don't have the time.
Yeah.
And it's a hassle.
Absolutely, and it doesn't cost the business anything because they're not paying anything extra. It's actually a convenience for them. and I'm hands-on. I support them from the technical aspect to the contracting aspect. There's full transparency and everything, and really convenient for these businesses, and they love when they can just deal with just one vendor.
And in person.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Not a number somewhere.
It's not a number. So
yeah, that is excellent.
yeah.
So where did the name Wi-Fi Spotlight come from? What is inspired from that?
So Wi-Fi Spotlight. So when we were talking about starting the business, a couple of names came to mind, but my son, so my 11-year-old, it took him like, he was like 3 or 4 when he first started to speak. We thought he wasn't going to speak at all.
Aw.
So we had him in speech therapy and behavior. Now he doesn't shut up. He's talking all the time, right?
Like all kids.
Yeah. So I was in the car, and with the kids with the tablets and stuff like that, and they want to connect to the hotspot, and he's like 3.5 years old, and I'm driving, and he's like, "Papi, there's no Wi-Fi."
At 3.5?
At 3.5 years
Wow.
old. So, but he didn't talk before that. His first words were, his first language was connected to Wi-Fi.
Oh my God.
Right? So super happy because now my son is speaking, and it's just ironic that his first words were related to the Wi-Fi connection, because if the kids don't have Wi-Fi, right, it's not a good thing. So we named it Wi-Fi Spotlight, and I think about my son when
you
when it
have to
comes
be
to
really proud. I mean,
yeah,
your line of business.
absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
So that's amazing, the influence that you've had over him.
Yeah, for
that.
sure.
Yeah.
And everybody needs Wi-Fi, right?
Yes.
Everything is correlated to Wi-Fi. Even if it's a wired connection, when something is not working, people say the Wi-Fi is not working.
Yes.
Right? So
regardless of what it is,
regardless
we
of
all
what
fall
it
in that. There's no Wi-Fi.
Yeah, so I'm
The
like,
end of
let
the
me
world
name,
has
let
come.
me name it something that is relatable to everyone. And my son, Wi-Fi was relatable to him at 3 years old, and so that's the name that we stuck with.
Amazing. I love that. So going more into the business, what is the difference between a business buying internet service from you opposed into calling whichever 1-800 number that's out there?
Sure. Well, with me, you're going to get a more personalized experience, right? When you call the 800 number and you're dealing with call centers, or even, a regional sales rep with any of the carriers, they're gonna, they're working off a quota. Sometimes, there's some integrity issues, and they're just selling you the connection, right? You're just a number. The technician's gonna go. He's gonna tell you, hey, there's the modem. The rest is on you, right? When you buy from me, you're gonna get, I don't have a quota. My quota is building a relationship, right?
Or your book, if you will.
Yeah. So with me, you're gonna get the best price, right? I'm not gonna give you more services that you don't need. Most likely, we're gonna be able to go to your install, and we're not just dropping off the modem. We will connect with the technician there. If there's support that's needed after the connection is made, then we're able to support that. So if we've got to integrate to the phone system, if we've got to integrate to the merchant service provider, we'll do everything, all of that, and as part of just doing business with me. Yeah, so I'm hands-on, white glove, doesn't cost you more. The customers don't pay for that transaction, and you're just getting more hands-on experience, and it's a little bit more personable.
Yeah. Now, because a lot of businesses, what they suffer with, at least the business owner, that their time is limited.
Yep.
So what is your time in providing those services?
Time in
when do you
regards
normally come in? Weekends, evenings, day?
Yeah, it just all depends on when they need the services. Usually we try to, we give them,
Options.
1 or 2 hour increments of when Spectrum or Verizon is able to be on site, and usually the customer agrees to the time frame first, and then we try to meet the technicians there. a lot of times it's, there's not much that we need to do. We just go there, we meet the technician, and everything's good. And then other times, we have to do a little bit more than just a typical install.
Okay. And how can people reach you? I mean, there's so many small businesses in the area.
Yeah, so great question. So my phone number is 914-415-2145. Once again, 914-415-2145, and we're able to service all the boroughs.
Do you have a website, an email where they can locate you?
So my email address is Jose@Wi-Fi, and it's a little tricky, so it's gonna be WI-FI-Spotlight.com. I wanted it to be WiFi Spotlight.com without the hyphens, but somebody took that, right? So Jose@Wi-Fi Spotlight.com with the hyphens. And then my website is the same thing. It's going to be www.wi-fi-spotlight.com.
Excellent. I love it. And before you go, any parting words for someone that's looking to start a business or a second career in tech, if you will?
Yeah.
What, from your experience, what advice would you give these people?
Well, I would tell you that if you have a dream, definitely go for it. There's a lot of resources. I mean, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce has been amazing. Even just other businesses that I've connected with, even people, within my same industry, they've offered support. People generally want to help other people, and businesses want to help other businesses thrive. So don't look at it like, if you're starting a baking business, another baker is going to be willing to give you, she's not going to give you clients. She or he's probably not going to give you their clients, but they're going to, inspire you and motivate you to thrive just like they are. A lot of resources out there, the NewYorkState.gov website with small business. There's tons of resources out there, tons of chambers out there. And I would say that if you have a dream, for me, my dream, I started pursuing my dream like at 47. It's never too late. Some people do it at 27. I started at 47. I had kids. I enjoyed the benefits and all of that a corporate world could provide. But I finally took the leap, and it's the best thing that I ever did. And go for it.
Okay, thank you so much, Jose.
Thank you.
Really
Thank
appreciate
you so
you
much.
coming on today. For more information on Jose's services, you can reach him at www.y/fi-spotlight.com. Thank you so much for joining us, Jose. We really appreciate it. And we'll take a quick break, but stay tuned that we'll be right back with more on Meetings of the Minds.
Where did the time go? Somehow I lost all those years. Where did the time go? I don't know how I got here. Or how did I get here?
You've done the hard part. You quit smoking. Now do the easy part and get scanned for lung cancer. If you smoked, you may still be at risk, but early detection could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Even though we didn't grow up together, he's my favorite brother.
Hey, sis.
I'm the baby of the family, and he's the gentle giant.
What you know about Port Georgia?
Man, please, that's a classic.
You know when they say people are a rare breed? Yeah, he's that.
I'm sorry, I'll be back in a few hours.
Don't worry, Shug. You know I'm for you.
I know.
Go get the football.
That was my favorite memory. He was always for you. This is a true story of me, Bridget Floyd, and this guy, George Perry Floyd Jr., my big brother.
Welcome back, everyone. And our next guest is the CEO of Rincon Salvadoreña, that has serviced the Jamaica Queens community for over 40 years and provided authentic home-cooked Salvadorian dishes. She joins us today to speak about how her restaurant has thrived over 4 decades and much more. So please welcome Miss Elena Calderon Barcenes. Hola, Elena.
Hola, mucho gusto. Thank you so much for having me a guest here and
No,
to be able to share a bit of my story.
excellent. No, and thank you for joining us today. We should let people know they're seeing you over Skype, but we're thrilled to have this conversation with you today. Thank you so much. So, for many of our viewers, they would like to learn more about how your story and how the Rincon Salvadoreño Restaurant. So let's dive into this. So, can you tell us about your background, where you're from, what led you to become a business owner, and all the details?
Great. Yes. So my name is Elena Calderon Barcenes, and I became a business owner actually 27 years ago. I'm originally from El Salvador. I grew up, I migrated to the United States when I was 8 years old in the state of Minnesota. There I received my education, and later on I moved to New York with my husband, and he was the founder of Rincon Salvadoreño Restaurant. We're the first Salvadorian restaurant in New York. And as you have stated, we've been in the community for 43 years. And unfortunately, 27 years ago, he passed away, and that's when I became a business owner overnight. So the good thing about it is that I wasn't afraid. There was a lot of challenges, but I knew that I was excited. I was very excited to be part of the community and to actually take the restaurant to where it is right now. So that's how I became a business owner.
Excellent, and that's quite inspirational. But how did it wind up in Jamaica, Queens?
Jamaica Queens, there was a very high, and there still is a very high Hispanic community in Jamaica. And at that time, there weren't any Salvadorian restaurants, but the community has always been, like I mentioned, there's a lot of Central American, South American customers that live in the area. So that's it. Actually, when he bought the business was originally owned by someone from El Salvador, and they had it for 2 months. They had an emergency and they had to leave the country. So that's how my husband started the business.
Got it.
Had back then, 43 years ago, we only had 4 tables. So it was very, very small as to what we have now.
Okay, so fast forward today. Your restaurant faced the threat of closing during the pandemic. How did you manage to keep it open? Because we know the restaurants were, severely hit with all these restrictions from COVID. How did you manage to stay open and thrive afterwards?
Well, let me be honest with you. I closed the restaurant for 8 months. And the reason I closed is because I meditated and I saw how bad the situation really was. And we are a sit-down restaurant. Back then, that's all we did. It was our to-go orders were very limited because our customers really enjoyed coming to the restaurant. And I knew that with only orders to go, I was not going to survive, simply because my customers were from outside the area as well. And I just didn't feel that it was a good idea for me to keep it and continue struggling. So what I decided to do instead was I used the 8 months to really educate myself. So I started doing webinars. I started assisting all types of webinars. For 8 months, I truly, truly educated myself outside the box. I started looking for brands. I applied to all kinds of brands. I did networking, and that is because we were only hit by the COVID. COVID was the cherry on top for us. Jamaica Queens is going through a great development. And I started my journey started back in 2017. 2017, I lost my parking. We had street closings. So when COVID hit, that was like the last straw. So I decided to take my business and to think outside the box and really look for opportunities to make my restaurant better. And that's what I did. And that's how I restarted the restaurant after closing it for 8 months.
Okay, you had mentioned at the top that you applied for grants. Can you share more about that?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I am a recipient of DoorDash. This is the latest, the newest one that and I applied this currently. Because another thing that I wanted to share is that I'm also a graduate from Goldman Sachs 10,000 business program. And I graduated in December, which was a phenomenal program for myself. I learned to really pivot my business. I learned about finance. I learned about different things. And DoorDash, it's right now. We're almost finished with the program, and it just gives you tools to take your business to a different level. And like I said, I did that one. I did Grubhub. I've done city ones. Believe me, I have applied. I worked, there was one in particular. It was to feed the nonprofit organizations in the community. And that was through the city, our RP program. I did 2 of those. So with all the grants, I was able to sustain myself, even though I was closed, and I was able to also keep my employees.
Yeah. Can you share a bit more of your involvement with DoorDash? How is that relationship?
It's fantastic. I was not, I didn't do a lot of go orders. So when I reopened the restaurant, I started using the different platforms. And DoorDash in particular, we have grown a lot with DoorDash. In this particular program, we touch different bases. For example, it's divided into different weeks. I believe it's like 8 weeks in total. Each week we touch different bases. For example, we started with the financial part of it. There's a legal part of it. There's branding of your food. There's how to hire in employee retentions, creating a right kind of menu, how to describe a good menu, and then also marketing. And I also learned a lot about sustainability, how you can improve.
Yeah.
And
so all very valuable lessons. You know, obviously they came in handy at the time, but I want to learn more about your restaurant. So what are the most popular dishes there? If I ever want to come, to that area and visit your restaurant, what would you recommend?
So we are a home-cooked meal, and our recipes, like I said, they're just authentic from El Salvador, and our popular dishes are our carne asada, it's our steak, and that's served with casamiento, which is beans and rice mixed together. And we also have our seafood soup. Our seafood soup, I still have customers that have left the New York area, and they still come and visit us for our seafood soup. Mm-hmm. Our tamales, and we are absolutely known for our pupusas. Our pupusas is a corn tortilla. It's filled with different ingredients. And from El Salvador, if you say El Salvador equals pupusas. Everybody loves pupusas.
Could you remind us the name of the restaurant with your website so people can check you out and look at the offerings?
Absolutely. So my restaurant is Rincon Salvadoreño Restaurant. We're located at 92-15, 149 Jamaica, Queens. And our website is www.rinconsalvadoreño.us.
Excellent. And as a Latina in the food business, what advice would you give to the next generation looking to open up their own restaurant? You know, right now we have a lot of people interested in being chefs and entrepreneurs and all of this.
Yes, and one of the things that I learned, even though I became a business owner 27 years ago, and honestly, I would have to say that after the pandemic, that's when I grew to a different level with my business. And the reason for that is preparation. You need to prepare yourself. You need to really know each step, how to do it correctly. Also, it is very, very important to get involved with the community. Know your agencies that are around you. And those agencies really, really support small businesses like myself. For example, I work with all the chambers, especially Queens Chamber of Commerce. I work tremendously a lot with Greater Jamaica. They have been godsend for me. I was able to get financing available, and these resources are very important because most banks, traditional,
well,
they
Elena,
don't give you.
this is definitely a lot of information, a lot of learning lessons for everyone. I just like to thank you for joining us today, Elena. You were wonderful, and we hope to visit your restaurant sometime soon, of course. You know, Jamaica, Queens, Rincon Salvadoreños. So if you'd like to learn more, you can follow her on Instagram. You can visit her website and see what else they offer. And you can email her as well at eqcalderon@aol.com. And visit rinconsalvadoreñonewyork.com. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have today. I'd like to thank our guests, Jose and Elena, for joining us today. You, the viewers as well, for tuning in and hearing all these magnificent stories. I invite you to keep following BronxNet TV for continued coverage. And if you're not a member of the New York City Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, you can always visit us as www.hispanicchamber.nyc. Once again, that's www.hispanicchamber.nyc. You can also engage with us on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter, at New York City Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, all spelled out. And I'll see you next time for another episode of Meetings of the Minds in partnership with BronxNet TV. And I'll see you next time. Ciao, ciao.